A mother enters her kitchen at night and finds her daughter, Suganda, crouched in the dark, tearing into a raw fish with her teeth. While Western horror often centers on a hunger for human souls or blood, the folklore of the Bengal wetlands describes a predator with a much more grounded physical fixation. This is the Mecho Boot. In South Asian mythology, it is a restless spirit bound to the water's edge, driven by a singular, overwhelming craving for the daily catch. The victims were the family of a magistrate, highly educated skeptics who recently moved from the modern metropolis of Kolkata to a remote village. The family viewed the local environment with the indifference of city dwellers, unaware they were walking into a landscape governed by traditional safeguards they didn't believe in. When the family arrived at their riverside bungalow during a torrential storm, the caretaker gave them a specific warning: do not look at the river after dark. In these river-based economies, the water is a site of both survival and danger. Folklore suggests the Mecho Boot waits in the dark at these boundaries for solitary fishermen. Suganda ignored the boundary. She spent the entire night at her bedroom window, watching the stormy river and unknowingly establishing a psychological line of sight with the entity. In the local imagination, the river is not just a landmark. It is a physical barrier that holds back a specific class of supernatural predator. The following morning, the caretaker found tracks in the mud, leading from the riverbank directly to the family's front doorstep. The footprints clearly headed toward the house, but the toes were pointed backward, toward the water. Known as Ulte Paun, this anatomical glitch is a recurring warning in South Asian ghost stories of an entity failing to mimic human form. While the caretaker recognized the threat immediately, the magistrate's family dismissed the tracks as a village prank, ignoring the approaching danger. In folklore, these physical anomalies serve as an early warning system. By ignoring them, the family removed their own defenses. The situation escalated when Suganda went to the market alone to buy raw fish, effectively carrying the very thing the entity desired most. On her walk back, she experienced a sudden drop in temperature and saw a girl beckoning her from the darkness, the first stage of a sensory assault. The air turned heavy with the stench of rotting fish, followed by a disembodied voice asking, "Will you not give me fish?" The Mecho Boot rarely uses brute force to take its prize. It relies on psychological pressure to convince the victim to surrender the food. In her panic, Suganda ran for her life, but kept her grip on the fish. By fleeing to safety without dropping the bait, she led the entity across her home's threshold. The ghost exploits the victim's panic, turning their instinctive flight into a clear path through the household's protective boundaries. Back in the kitchen, the possessed Suganda tells her mother that because the entity fed her the fish, she will now live with it forever. This figure is a personification of the anxieties found in river-dependent communities, where drowning, starvation, and the risk of spoiled food are constant, tangible threats. The magistrate's modern logic offered no protection against these forces because he failed to understand that the folklore was never meant to be a story. It was meant to be a manual. These superstitions function as ancient survival guides for specific, dangerous environments. In the Mecho Boot's world, dismissing them is a final act of hubris.